Hello. This video is a tribute to Mr. Juan Montes and his family. We are the 3 comprehensive high school principals who decided to come together to create this video to honor Mr. Juan Montes, who was our colleague, and he also taught us to come together as a family. So we will honor Mr. Montes with
faith, hope,
and love as we create this video surrounding the scripture of 1 Corinthians 13:13.
My name is Pedro Alvarez Jr. and I'm the principal of McAllen Memorial High School and the Memorial Vertical Team Leader. I knew Mr. Montes pretty well, and the way I met him was that I was at a football game, and I would look into the stands, and as I always did, and I would see that Mr. Montes would be there in the stands. I often wondered, okay, why is Mr. Montes here if he belongs to the Rowe vertical team? I just didn't make the connection. But soon after, I realized that he had nephews and nieces here at Memorial. And then I noticed something. Out of the thousands of kids that have parents and guardians, Mr. Montes, I mean, he was there at all these games, and he was there to see his nephews, to see them play. It's like he was their father. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me to see an uncle go to the games and to support their niece or their nephew. When I have parents that I've never seen them in 4 years. That's the kind of heart Mr. Montes had. Every so often he would talk to me and we would just say a couple of words to each other and mostly about football and how the season was going or how he felt it was going. But always so positive in all his words. And I gathered that from Mr. Montes that he was such a humble person. And he was so strong, unbelievably strong. Always unifying people. And when we went to ILS meetings, we always saw him laughing with his friends there, the other principals from the elementaries. Such a wonderful sight and such happy memories. Mr. Montes was a great man. I'm very thankful that I have met him. I'm very thankful that he raised and helped raise his nephews and nieces to the extent that he has. Those kids are wonderful kids. Thank you to the Montes family for raising such a beautiful man. From Memorial High School, thank you. And may God bless you.
Hi, my name is Melvin Benford, principal of Cathy Middle School. And on behalf of the entire staff, our deepest condolences to you for the loss of your son. He was a great man. One day he invited me to his campus to witness firsthand the great teaching and learning that was occurring at Alvarez Elementary. I was so impressed. The love from his students, staff, was on display. You can be very proud of the work that he did. May he rest in peace.
Montes family, my name is Alfredo Gutierrez and I'm the proud principal at Brown Middle School. And the way that I knew Juan Montes, I knew him 2 ways. I knew him as a colleague, and I also knew him, he was part of our Brown Middle School family as one of our parents there somewhat, and I'll explain that in a little bit. First of all, as a colleague, I saw him at meetings. I never got the pleasure to work with Mr. Montes, but just seeing him at principals meetings on a monthly basis, just his character, he seemed like he was a very loving person, always with a smile on his face. Where we used to sit middle school table, and then next to us was an elementary table, and that was the table that Mr. Montes would sit at. And man, that was always the fun table. Everybody was always smiling and joking and laughing at that table. And I do remember that they always had the best candy at that table. So that's the way that I knew Mr. Montes as a colleague, very professional, very smart. And you could tell that he always wanted the best for his campus. And now, as part of our Brown Middle School family, well, through the Salazar family that went through Brown Middle School, his nieces and his nephews, I got to know him, that side of him, as a family man. And again, a lot of love there. You could tell that his sister and his nieces and nephews really looked up to him and looked at him with a lot of love in their heart, and it was vice versa. He was always very involved with his nephews and his niece. They were student athletes there with us at Brown, so I would always share moments with him at different sporting events throughout the year, and very supportive of his niece and his nephews. And you could tell that he was like a very positive role model in their lives. And in some of the interaction that I've had with his nephew in the past week and the past couple of weeks, that came out to be true, that his nephew said he looked up to him a lot and that he was a positive role model that influenced a lot of the decisions that he's making right now as he's making his way through college. So he'll be greatly missed, Mr. Montes.
Señora Montes, yo soy Fernando Gutiérrez, soy director de la escuela ING aquí en McAllen, y es una pena que tenemos que celebrar la vida de Mr. Montes de esta manera, pero yo le quería decir que el legado que él ha dejado en el distrito escolar de McAllen va a estar allí por siempre. Por hoy los estudiantes que él ha tocado por más de 20 años, que siguen estando aquí, unos han salido a las comunidades, llevan con él esa influencia que Mr. Montes les dio. Y yo le puedo decir que la pasión que él tenía por la educación me inspira. El amor que él tenía por sus estudiantes me da esperanza. Y de un maestro de ciencia a otro maestro de ciencia, como lo fue él, de un director a otro director, como lo fue él, le quiero decir que su hijo va a ser extrañado, y espero que Dios le dé a usted paz y esperanza al recordar que su hijo fue una persona que trajo muchas cosas positivas a este mundo, y eso nadie lo puede quitar. Dios le bendiga y estaremos orando por usted y por su familia. Gracias.
Yo soy Carlos Mora, el director en la escuela Escandón. Yo conocí a Juan Roberto Montes hace casi 20 años. Juan Roberto y yo fuimos maestros, subdirectores y directores casi al mismo tiempo. Yo tengo bastantes historias a decir sobre Juan Roberto. Me dio bastante tristeza el día de Christmas cuando escuché las noticias sobre Juan Roberto. Juan Roberto fue una persona, un hombre de fe, esperanza y amor. Fue bien evidente con su trabajo aquí en la escuela en el distrito de McAllen. Yo sé que yo sé que las maestras y los niños que Juan Roberto yo sé que lo van a extrañar mucho. Juan Roberto fue una persona de buen humor. Casi en los 20 años nunca lo vi de mal humor, nunca fue triste. Y yo sé que había tiempos donde él estaba pues batallando con unas cosas en las escuelas o con unas personas, pero siempre fue bien positivo. Siempre fue bien positivo, y esas son las cosas que yo siempre voy a recordar sobre él. A la familia Montes, a la señora Montes, la mamá de Juan Roberto, ustedes hicieron un muy buen trabajo con Juan Roberto, y yo sé como ustedes y nosotros aquí en el distrito de McAllen lo vamos a extrañar mucho.
name is Deborah Thomas, and I'm the principal at Sam Houston Elementary. I've been the principal there for 10 years, but one of my fondest memories is of meeting Montes. He was a teacher when I entered Sam Houston, and he embraced me wholly. He never, ever thought twice about letting me come into Sam Houston with open arms. He was a fine, loving man. But most of all, he was an exceptional teacher. He loved his students so much, and he cared for them, and you could see this daily. But not only that, he brought home the results. We were a campus scoring in the 90th percentiles in the area of science, when no one else could figure out how to do that. He made Sam Houston a #1 campus, just like he makes everything else that he touches. Montes, I will miss you so much because you have become my friend, my colleague, my confidant. I can't imagine this world without you. I will miss you.
Señora Montes, soy Miguel Herrera, director de la escuela primaria Jackson, aquí en McAllen. Y bueno, yo conocí a Roberto cuando él era subdirector dentro del distrito. Y bueno, él tenía fe de que se le presentaría la oportunidad de poder ser director en alguna escuela para seguir compartiendo el amor de la educación con niños, con un plantel y también con la comunidad. Y bueno, ese sueño se le hizo realidad al ser nombrado director de la escuela primaria Álvarez. Entonces, de esa manera, él pudo seguir apoyando a sus estudiantes, apoyando a su plantel y apoyando a su comunidad. Sabemos que él tenía ese gran amor y sabemos que lo hizo de una manera excelente. Hemos perdido un gran líder, pero lo vamos a recordar siempre dentro de nuestras mentes, dentro de nuestros corazones, y esperemos que ustedes tengan la fuerza necesaria para seguir adelante como familia, pero también sepa que como distrito, como amigos, nos tienen a nosotros donde se puedan apoyar. Gracias.
Mi nombre es Cristina Hernández y soy la directora de la escuela primaria González aquí en McAllen. Le quiero dar mi pésamo de parte de la comunidad de nosotros. Yo fui compañera de Roberto por 5 años, me parece, los dos siendo directores aquí en McAllen. No tuve la oportunidad de trabajar lado a lado con él, como otros de mis compañeros, pero sí tuve la oportunidad de platicar con él cuando teníamos juntas, de hablar durante nuestros trabajos. Él era un líder muy querido en la escuela Álvarez. Sus maestros que trabajaron con él no tienen nada, pero buenas memorias de él. Todos aquí los vamos a extrañar mucho. Me acuerdo que una noche yo andaba caminando por la calle Segunda aquí en McAllen y Roberto andaba con, me parece que era una de las maestras de su escuela y una compañera, otra directora de aquí de McAllen. Iban caminando bien despacio, platicando. Yo iba a prisa, ¿verdad? Andando muy a prisa, ¿verdad? Como debe de ser el ejercicio. Y me toqué con él y me dice, ay, pronto, vamos a apurarnos porque para que piense, ¿verdad? Que estamos haciendo ejercicio. Lo que quiero decir con esta historia es que le gusta mucho bromear con sus amigos. Lo vamos a extrañar mucho. El dolor que están sintiendo ahorita sea un poco más, que se le va quitando un poco más, ¿verdad? Porque sé bien que es muy duro para una mamá perder un hijo. Dios esté con ustedes. Gracias.
Mr. Montes family, this is Mrs. Infante, the school principal at Bonham Elementary. Mr. Montes was an assistant principal at Bonham Elementary for 2 years. Staff members that worked with him stated that they always remember his love to his profession. He was a passionate leader who always wanted the best for the students and the staff. He was a very generous and positive person. We will always have lovely memories that will always hold dear to our hearts. He would always give hope in the goodness in people. He was a man of faith, and everyone saw that in him. He will always be a part of Bonham and will always live in our hearts. Thank you, Mr. Montes, our leader and our friend. You will be greatly missed by the Bonham community. Always remember, Bonham Beagles love you. You are now our guardian angel looking over us.
My name is Albert Canales. I'm the principal of McAllen High School. More importantly, I'm the principal of our vertical team, captain. So I'm really proud of everybody that's been here with us today. I just want to say that, I remember Juan at our ILS meetings, and always had a smile. As principals, they'll tell us some things, and we kind of take a look, and we look around the room, and we look at each other, and I see him smile back sometimes with some of the things that we have to go through as campus leaders. But when you hear everybody's words, I know he had the faith of being a principal and leading his campus. I know he had the love of leading his team of people at his school, and you hear about him caring about his family and taking care of his family, so I knew that family came first for him. So I just want to say on behalf of McAllen High School, he's also a Bulldog graduate, so it's even more important there. But on behalf of McAllen High School, we want to give our deepest condolences to the family and tell everybody that we do love Juan Montes, and we appreciate everything he did for our district and for our community and for our kids.
Hi, I'm Mr. Carmona, a Chief Early College High School principal. Every time I would see Mr. Montes, he always had a smile on his face. He always was genuine about everything he said and did. So your son made a difference in a lot of people's lives. So be proud and may he rest in peace.
My name is Brian McClinney. I'm the principal at Morris Middle School. Juan Montes, I mainly saw him at a lot of meetings because we were not on the same vertical team. But every meeting that I went to, he was just so respectful, so humble. And some of the traits that I've always seen in him is just an exceptional work ethic. I heard it all the time, just a great work ethic. Second thing, positive attitude, always positive. And it's amazing. It was contagious, and he was just always positive. But I think the main thing was passion. He had passion for life. He had passion for his school community. He had passion for his family. He had passion for his colleagues. And I think the main thing is he was a beacon of hope. He was a beacon of hope for everyone, and his legacy will always be remembered. So just remember him as a great man that did everything he could do for the best of his school community, for his family, and for everybody around him. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Efrain Amaya. I'm the principal at Travis Middle School. When I think of Mr. Montes, I think of a humble person, very passive and full of love. He reminds me of a person that's always giving. Every time I saw him, whether it was at ILS or at an event, he's always surrounded by people that he loved and that loved him. And he was always giving. He was always that provider that would provide for everyone around him. Whenever I wanted something sweet, I would turn to his table and I knew that he had that bag of candy there that would just, be more than willing to share with whoever. Conversations that I had with him a couple of times were very, very, very pleasant. He was always so full of life, so full of energy. But he will be remembered forever. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christine Garza, principal at Wilson Elementary. Mr. Montes was my assistant principal at Wilson Elementary from 2011 to 2013. he was such a dedicated, hardworking man. And not only that, he was also very caring. He always thought about everyone. During the time that we worked together at Wilson, we had many, many laughs. And we just, being in the positions that we're in, it's really hard sometimes when you're working and you have long days and you have hard days. But he was always there to help. He was always willing to do whatever we needed. Not only was he my assistant principal, he was also a dear friend of mine. When he became principal, I was so proud of him because I knew that he was always striving to become a principal one day, and he worked really hard to do it. I was so proud of him that he had done it. I know that he truly, truly cared about his staff at Alvarez, and he took pride in making sure that they knew it. And I do know that he will always and forever be in my heart. We will never forget him. And I want to tell the family that we loved him so much, and we will always do things to remember him. And just know that so many people in our school, our children, our parents loved him, and he will truly be missed.
Hello, I'm Christian Quintanilla, principal at Milem Elementary. When I think of Mr. Montes, I think of a very, very kind man. I recall that every instructional leadership seminar meetings, you would see him going around with this big old smile, handing out that famous Mexican candy. He always made me feel so special. Although Mr. Montes and I were colleagues, we were great colleagues, I also remember when I first started as a English language arts coordinator. Mr. Montes was one of the few who called me during all his holiday luncheons and invited me personally. He always made me feel part of his school community, and I will forever remember that and be thankful for him. Thank you.
My name is Teresa Tredla. I'm the principal at Fields Elementary. Montes and I became assistant principals together. So about 10 years ago, our paths were forever forged, and we became etched in each other's journeys. He was the kind of man and the kind of friend that when he learned that my favorite candy were seasonal, he would ensure to always pick them up at the store for me and to either drop off some candy or to give it to me when he saw me in person. Yo lo recuerdo como un gran caballero, con un inmenso corazón. Fue un gran amigo, todo el tiempo ayudando en lo que podía. Era cortés y educado, hasta para abrirnos las puertas. Yo siempre le comentaba que su mamá lo había creado muy bien. Montes became a principal a few years before I did. And the thing about Montes is that he always wanted everyone else to reach their goals as well. He was a constant motivator and always encouraging me. He would always remind me that with faith and hard work, anything was possible. He loved deeply, and he always wanted to ensure that his family, his friends, and his Alvarez community were well taken care of. The world needs more people who are good and kind and just, and he was the very best. May we all strive to live our lives with more kindness, more goodness, and more faithfulness, just like he did.
Hello, my name is Veronica Delgado. I'm the principal at Dr. Pablo Perez Elementary. I first met Mr. Montes at Wilson Elementary. He was my assistant principal when I was the IB lead teacher, and I worked alongside him to ensure the implementation of the IB PYP program. I also knew him, though, as a family member when I was the assistant principal at Brown Middle School. He supported his niece and nephew in all of their extracurricular activities. He was truly a man who lived by the principles of faith, hope, and love. There's a prayer that we all ask for: eyes that see the best in people, a heart that forgives the worst, and a soul that never loses faith in God. And I can truly say that the Juan Montes I knew was that person. whether he prayed those words fervently or whether those words were just an innate part of who he was. That is how I choose to remember Juan Montes.
Hello, my name is Clarissa Partida. I'm principal at Sam Rayburn Elementary. Mr. Montes was just such a great light within all of us. He was constantly out saying hello, making small talk, having those candies available for us at every meeting that we had, so they were a little bit more enjoyable. If I could think of anything, one word to describe him, it would just be a unifier. He always wanted to get us together. He would bring groups of us together. He always made us feel included. He even had shirts made for us, and that's just one thing that I have. We all wore them to the rosary the evening that we had it for him. And it was a quote that said, "She believed she could change the world, so she became a principal." And of course, for the men, he believed he could change the world, so he became a principal. And he ordered those shirts for all of us, and I just thought it was such a kind gesture to unify us elementary principals, and that's just the kind of person he was. And I will forever think of him and have just kind thoughts of him in my heart, and I'm very grateful to have known him.
My name is Monica Kaufman, and I am the Rowe High School principal. I first met Juan Montes when he was a science teacher for his 5th grade students at Sam Houston Elementary, and I was the department head at Brown Middle School. We would plan together and vertically aligned, and he mentioned to me that he was going to go to school again to get his master's degree. And lo and behold, we both took our classes. We did have classes together at UT Pan Am back then, and we were study buddies all through our college career, getting our master's degree together. And we would study together, and we would just lean on each other. So when we talk about the scripture about faith, hope, and love, we had the hope that we would finish together. And then we had faith in each other, we would see it through. And that we would see each other as we would grow professionally. Mr. Montes never hesitated to give me a call to ask me questions or to give advice or to be very helpful when we were both pursuing our careers. We got to see each other grow professionally. Whenever he became an assistant principal, we were so proud of each other, and when I became dean of instruction as well, and we just kept on cheering each other on. And we had the hope for each other that one day we would soon be principals of our own campuses. And when he had his campus, all the love that he shared with all of his faculty and staff showed. And I'm very grateful that I have gotten a chance to know him professionally and got to see him grow from becoming a teacher to becoming the principal of his own campus. Very proud of him, very glad that I've got to know him. So here's to you. This apple represents our education and how dear we hold it in our lives, and that it does truly lead us to a better place to help and serve others like he did.
Hello, my name is Jeanette Nino, and I am the principal at Lamar Academy. It is my pleasure to just share a little bit about what Mr. Montes meant for me. And when I think of him, I thought of this blue tie. He exemplified nothing but a royal and high type of honor to his family, as well as to his school community. And the one time I got to visit Alvarez Elementary, that is how he welcomed me. He welcomed me as a special guest, and with him, he was always such a gentleman, utmost professional. And it is just a pleasure and an honor to be here today to just share a little bit of how he impacted my life. Gracias.
To the Montes family, my name is Sam Cáceres, principal at Alonso de Leon Middle School. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Montes on a couple of different occasions, but more formally, when I was an assistant principal at De Leon Middle School. We went to his campus to visit for an IB meeting and get together. And so that's where I was able to communicate with Mr. Montes more directly. And just from the very beginning, you could tell his demeanor and his style of leadership was very infectious, just a smile, very helpful, very motivational is what I saw from him. Always inspiring. Even when we were in meetings, we could always tell where he was at because there was laughter, conversation, and an infectious nature of drawing your attention to where they were at, specifically Mr. Montes. Just a joy to know. I wish I could have had more time, as I'm sure we all do, to get to know him. But as a part of the Rowe vertical team, I'd like to present the family with a small token of a memento. One of the things that I'd like to share with the family is that when we talk about faith, we know that in tough times we have to rely on faith, that we have to come to faith and know that God has a great plan. We don't always know how the script plays out, but I know that God has great plans for the entire Montes family, and this is not the end. This is a beginning. This is a way to draw even more inspiration from everything that has come, everything that will come from this. I know that there's a plan, and if you just hold on to that faith, God will illuminate the path. So, thank you.
My name is Laura Williams, principal at McAuliffe Fossum Middle School and part of the Rowe vertical team. Mr. Montes, what I remember most about him is his generosity, his laughter, lightheartedness. At every month's PLC ILS, him and I were always one of the first two individuals there. He would save his table, I would save our middle school table, and we'd say hello, pleasantries. And every single time he always had Starbucks for himself and for a dear, dear friend of his, Nancy. There was never a time that he didn't have Starbucks for them. So as a memento, I do have a Starbucks gift card that I will be placing in this box. Also, another time that I remember was when we went over to his campus, Alvarez Elementary, for instructional rounds. And again, his generosity, lightheartedness, just opening up his campus to us was very inviting and inspirational. I wish I would have had more time to get to know Mr. Montes. Very kind-hearted man. So at this time, I would like to place this in this memento box as a token of our remembrance from my staff at Fossum Middle School and also the Rowe vertical team. He will be missed. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carlos Hernandez. I'm the interim principal at Francisco Alvarez Elementary. Mr. Montes and I go back to 2008 when he was working with me at the Evening Study Center at Brown Middle School, where I was the principal and he was one of my teachers. What a wonderful man. I'm holding a 3-piece tool set because I know how much Robert loved to barbecue for his family, for his mom, his siblings, especially his nephews. He and I will play this competition on Facebook, posting our selfies with the food we're barbecuing for our family. And of course, I would always ask him, "Hey, Robert, where's my invite?" And he would reply to me, "Hey, where's mine?" So he's an excellent human being. I'm going to miss him tremendously. Familia Montes, yo soy el señor Hernández. Soy el director interino de la Escuela Elemental Álvarez. Roberto y yo nos conocemos desde hace mucho tiempo. Somos amigos, fuimos maestros del centro nocturno en la escuela secundaria Brown, donde él era uno de los maestros y yo era el director, que trabajamos muy juntos. Estoy mostrando estas herramientas para cocinar, que sabemos todos que a él le gustaba mucho cocinar, a usted, su familia, a usted, su mamá, sus hermanos, sus sobrinos, y nos poníamos en Facebook, ponían las fotos de las que cocinábamos en Facebook, y nos mandaron mensajes, ¿dónde está mi invitación? Y él me decía, ¿dónde está la mía? Y así estábamos. Es un honor tremendo para mí estar aquí hablando de este gran individuo, una persona que siempre recordaremos y estará siempre aquí en nuestros corazones. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Rodriguez. I am the principal at Santos Elementary. And I have very fond memories of Mr. Juan Montes, how loving and how caring he was, and always wanting to do better in what he did. As a former principal at Alvarez Elementary, he would always call me and ask for advice. But the very most fond memory that I have of Mr. Montes is looking at him and seeing his beautiful blue eyes, then looking at the cross that he would carry. I want you to have this cross in his memory and know that he lived his life through God, and we will always remember him in that manner.
Sandra Salinas, principal at Hendricks Elementary. In 1983, I joined McAllen ISD and I became a kindergarten teacher at Crockett Elementary. In my very first class, Juan Roberto Montes was a kinder student in my class. So to say that I've known him many years goes without saying. I will always remember his kindness and his love for not only his family, but his kids, his colleagues, or his classmates in class. He was always very helpful to the kids. He was very quiet though, but he did what he needed to do, was always loved education, loved trying new things in a kindergarten class. And of course, being a young teacher, he just hung on to everything that we said and participated in all our activities and was just a great student all around. As the years progressed, I had both his brother and his sister as my students. So after school, he'd come by and pick them up and walk them home. Every day he asked how his brother and sister had done. And if I told him anything about this brother misbehaving, he would get after him right then and there and just tell him he needed to behave. He would then walk him home. So Juan loved Crockett Elementary and loved all the friendships he made at Crockett. He would periodically come back. As he went off to middle school and high school, he would participate in certain activities, some of our fall festivals, and he'd come back and just make sure that he saw the teachers that he'd had at Crockett and those relationships he had built. He was a great student, a great young man. On a personal note, I will always remember how he took care of the veteran principal now. He always made sure that I had water. If we were at a conference together, he always asked how I was doing and if I needed any help with carrying things, or even as we crossed the street. He was always very respectful, very well-mannered, and just a very caring young man. God has inherited an angel, and we will definitely miss him.
Hi, my name is Juan Nevarez. I'm the principal at Seguin Elementary. And because me and Robert were both named Juan, I always just refer to him as Montes. So that's how I'm going to do today, just Montes. I first met Montes back when we were both assistant principals. We took an IB trip to Savannah, Georgia, and that was really the first time I ever got to talk to him and meet with him. And I couldn't get away from him because we were rooming together. So we were both in the same room. And I remember the first thing that he really ever said to me was, "What's your Facebook? I want to add you as a friend." It was unbelievable to try to explain to him that I actually did not have a Facebook, and I still don't. And that's the kind of guy he was. Like, he just wanted to be your friend. You know, he just, that's how he lived. He just wanted to be friends and have a good time and enjoy it. And from then on, you know, it started our friendship from that trip. And as we both were assistant principals and then eventually both principals, we just, you know, he just kept that friendship going. And I always, you know, look back in all the times that, you know, every little thing he would just want to just talk to you about it and just get your feedback. And you know, every time we had a presentation due for the district, he's like, "What are you doing? How are you doing this?" And we just go back and forth, talk about it. He'd always ask me, "Are you gonna wear a tie tomorrow?" That was his thing. He never wanted to wear a tie. So he wanted me to say, "No, I'm just wearing a polo." And then he'd be like, "Okay, I'm just gonna wear a polo too." Or a shirt or no tie. Like that's the kind of relationship we had. He was my friend, and he still is my friend. One thing about him is that, he went to Texas A&M. That's one thing that started our friendship, was talking about it. And he told me he was in the Corps. I never went back to check, but he told me he was in the Corps of Cadets. And I know that if you're in the Corps of Cadets, that takes a very special person to do that at A&M. And he loved Texas A&M. He loved the Aggies. I got him a big old A&M for his new house. He put it in his backyard for him to just always remember, A&M. And I wanted to give that to him as a housewarming gift. One of the things that people make fun of A&M a lot of, and they do that for a lot of reasons, but one of them is we have a lot of traditions. A&M has a lot of traditions, and one of the traditions is muster, and it takes place on April 21st of every year. And we do what is called the roll call for the absent, where every year we get together as Aggies and we do a roll call. And for every Aggie that has fallen in the previous year, a family member or friend, we'll say here, and we will light a candle. So this year, I will say here for my good friend Juan Montes, and I will light a candle for him. Because not only was he my friend, he was an Aggie, and I know that's what he would like. Because when you're an Aggie, you're family. And we always love and take care of our family.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gonzalez, principal of McAuliffe Elementary. I am the rookie of this group, and so I didn't get to experience Mr. Montes as much as everybody did, and I kind of feel like I missed out on an amazing person. So I'm a little bit jealous that I didn't get to create the friendships that everybody else did, but I hear nothing but amazing things about him. And so as I was thinking of what memento to give the family, I thought about this one, which is called Heart of Gold. My experience with Mr. Montes was brief, as I said, because I'm new to the group, but he was always very welcoming, very friendly with me, and everyone that talks about him having a heart of gold, hence this little artifact that I've gotten for the family. I know he's greatly missed because of the stories I hear about him, and we will always carry him in our heart, and we'll all have a piece of him everywhere we go.
Hi, I'm Nancy Valenzuela, principal at Garcia Elementary. I met Robert when we were teachers at teaching summer school, and I give everyone names. So he was Taco Man, because every day he would bring us tacos. So that is how I got to be his friend, because he would bring me tacos. Anyway, later on we became friends. When he became principal at Alvarez, we got even closer, as he was, my best friend was his AP. And so we became closer, and we started traveling together. We became travel buddies, his family, my family. And one of the best trips we had was when we went on a 7-day cruise, and we had the best time. And even then, my husband was there, but he still took care of me. That was him. He was such a kind man who loved every single one. And no matter what, every day he would give me a call or a text just to see if I was okay. And he'd say, "Friend, ¿cómo estás? Are you okay? Do you need anything?" Always, always. And that is going to be one of the things I will miss most. His calls, his text messages, and just the love for travel. So what I take from him is, I want you to know, Montes family, that he lived life to the fullest. He traveled like he always wanted to. He was around you all like he always wanted to, and around his friends. And that I will take with me forever. And I wanted you to have this picture of our trip to to the Grand Cayman, and he was so happy, and I want you all to have it, and I want you guys to know that I am thankful and blessed to have been part of his journey. La quiero mucho, señora Montes, familia Montes. Muchas gracias por darme el regalo de la amistad de Roberto. Thank you. And now these three remain:
faith,
hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. We love you, Montes.